What's good? This your boy Shawty with New Era Tracks. We back again with another video. Trying to get back on that YouTube shit, you know what I'm saying? So I've been getting a lot of people asking me about how I EQ my vocals and stuff like that. I did a couple videos. I got the compression and stuff like that on Instagram and whatever, showing people how to do different stuff. So a lot of people wondering how I EQ my vocals and getting my vocals from that to that, getting that nice polished sound. I don't want to call myself a pro mixer, but this is what a lot of the pros are doing that nobody's showing. You know, they got a lot of guys on YouTube saying, "Oh, this is how you EQ, this is how I EQ," but a lot of that stuff is just BS, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching the videos and I'm just laughing, having a blast laughing at that. But this is what a lot of the pros are doing. You know what I'm saying? This is gonna give you a little insight. Now, this is not a tutorial. I'm not gonna be giving specific frequencies or anything like that. I'm just gonna be running over the mind state of what I'm thinking when I'm mixing these vocals. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I don't claim to be the biggest engineer, but I got a lot of big songs. Songs just came out. I'm doing works on album, getting placements and stuff like that. So I kind of want to say I do got some credibility in this game. So let's get to these vocals, man. Let's look at this project, see what we got going on. So getting into this project, this is a track off my mixtape Love Jones 6, which I dropped in February. If you don't know, I drop an R&B tape for the ladies every Valentine's Day. If you haven't heard that, you could get that. It's on most streaming platforms right now. So I'm gonna play this for y'all so y'all can get a gist of who we working with real quick.
Shawty, won't you come and vibe with a real one? And we can get as high as a ceiling. And we can pop a pill and get our feel on. I know you like to ride with them heels on. You know I'm from the vibe, I call you babe. Fly you out of country, not to stay. You got that thing bustin' like a cat. And if they won't, hey, fuck what they say. Lord have mercy when I sent you from that mercy. Shitting on these bitches like I be killing my verses. All that ass back there, girl, I can't wait to see you twerk it. Nigga out the city with my niggas down on Bourbon. And you the baddest of the baddest that I ever seen. Ass like that, you should be up in the magazine. I ain't front pretty face, don't need no Maybelline. But maybe we could slide up on the block and we could make.
So that's pretty much what we working with, you know what I'm saying? This is a pretty easy track. Like you said, we got the beat right here on these two tracks. Oh, we got the hook right here. We got the verse right here. You know what I'm saying? I do not use vocal buses. I mean, I'm at the point in my career where I'm kind of successful, and I can afford the computers and processing and stuff like that to where I'm working at a professional level to where I don't have to worry about, oh, I'm running out of RAM and stuff like that. Even like I've gotten sessions with 80 tracks, 100 tracks. I've gotten a Rihanna session with like 200 tracks on there, and those are the tracks that are tracked out. And as you can see right here, we're using the MP3 form. We're not using a tracked out instrumental, so it's not really getting too crazy and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm at the point where I don't know why big engineers, I still see them using that type of stuff, but for most of the stuff I do, I'm gonna say probably at max 80 tracks. Most of my music, you know, I like to keep shit in order. So like I have the first verse and the second verse on the same track. I'm not gonna have 4 tracks of the first verse and then 4 tracks of the second verse. I'll just consolidate everything like that. And especially with Logic, you could just join stuff or bounce it in place, print it with the effects if you want to. So like I'm more about being organized and stuff like that, and instead of really worrying about or just having all these tracks messed up. Like you might have a track with just a breath on there. Like I'm not gonna do that. I'm not wasting my time with that. I like to have my shit organized where I can see right here, where I can know where everything's at, where I can get to it. If this is the hook right here, this is my verses right here. Even if I gotta use some automation or something like that, like say this part in this vocal's too loud, I could just trim it down with the automation and stuff like that. If I can't get to it with a compressor or something like that, if it's doing too much, then that's what I'll do. But I'm not into all that vocal buses and stuff like that. So every time, a lot of times if I get a big session like that and it's too much to take everything off, I'll just use the vocal bus. But I'm not gonna have vocals fighting each other inside of a compressor, because I've noticed, like, say if I have 2 vocals going to a compressor at one time, one vocal is getting slammed and one vocal is low, that the compressor is going to react to that slam vocal. So that's thing I thought about. I'm not sure why people don't think of that. Like, bro, you got ad libs and your lead verse going through the same compressor. So obviously, if you're shouting on the ad, I know you got to deal with the levels and stuff like that, but I just stay away from that. I just like everything on a clean slate where I can see everything, where I ain't got to worry about what's going on. So the first step about how we go about EQing vocals like a pro, you have to keep the end goal in mind. Where do you want to be? Where do you see this mix going? Are there any mixes that you can compare this mix to, or that you want this mix to sound like? Where's the reference track? You know what I'm saying? So that's what you do this whole process. That's what you're keeping in mind, the end goal. Like, even if you're halfway through, you have to keep the end goal. Before you even start the end goal, you have to be thinking about, when you first play this mix, if you're playing it dry for the first time, you have to think, oh, okay, I could do a little compression on that. Oh, this needs a little bit of distortion. Oh, I'm going to add some delays on this. Oh, I'm going to do a little side chaining. Oh, I'm going to do a little this, a little reverb, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. You need to think about the end goal at all times. Because if you're not thinking about the end goal, you're just blah, 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 wasting your time. You're just going. Think about that end goal through the whole process of your mix, and I'm guarantee you it's going to help you mix these records way better. Second step about mixing vocals is low end. So when you first drag these vocals in, there's going to be a lot of low end. There's going to be a lot of frequencies that you need to cut. We're going to bring up this audio track right here, which is the first EQ we got right here. Immediately, we're cutting off at 101. So you got to get rid of the low end. I think I got the pull tech up in here. We're cutting off at 1. What else I got? I got the channel EQ right here. We're cutting off at 88. And that's because once you start adding stuff, like say, all right, I cut right here, I add a little compression, I add a little compression right here. I cut this right here, this compression is bringing up the low end, if you didn't know that. When you're compressing, it's kind of like, so that low end that I did cut off with the audio track, I'm adding another compressor, it's kind of bringing up the low end a little bit. So we need to cut again. And like I say, end goal, you have to be aware of what you're doing, because like, there's this thing called pre and post. So when you're mixing with your plugins, what I'm doing on this plugin is affecting what's going on in this plugin, and what I'm doing on this plugin is affecting what's going. So you have to keep that in mind, like what's affecting what. Like I say, if you cut a low end and you add a compression, you're bringing low end back into that, so you need to cut again. Now there's different ways you can do, like you could go about compressing and then EQing, but then you're gonna add more low end to the compressor, so you're gonna need to EQ further. But this is the way I'm just mixing right here. I know some people use that CL1B chain. As you can see, I got the pull tech right here, the CL1B up here. I'm using the pull tech as an exciter, really. But most of the time you want this pull tech right up here at the tube tech. I don't know why I didn't do that on this track. But like I say, this is not a tutorial. This is basically just showing you guys what goes on when I'm mixing my records and stuff like that. Next is the mid-range. The mid-range is the most important part of the vocal. Everything goes on in the mid-range. Everything. I guarantee you, if your mid-range is not correct, throw the song away. Throw it away. So we got this channel EQ right here. We got a little bit going on in the mid-range. This 2500 hertz right here. This is a very important part. This area is what's gonna allow that vocal to cut through. And basically what I do is I'll sit my vocal in the mix, then push it up on top, and then I'll have that vocal cutting through. Because when you get to mastering has a lot of compression and limiting going on and all that other type of stuff. So if the vocal's sitting on top of the mix, once I get to that mastering compression, it's gonna bring that vocal right back in. But I still got this little bit that's cutting through. So when I pull that mix back, when I pull that vocal back in with the compression, gluing everything together, that little EQ that's boosted up, that's making that vocal sit on top, is just gonna lay right on top perfectly every time. Like I said, keep that end goal in mind. If you don't have that end goal in mind, what are you doing? Like I say, a lot of people, when they mix, I've seen YouTube videos, a lot of people are trying to get the vocal to sit in the mix while they're mixing. But when you get to mastering and they start compressing, they're going to drag that vocal under the mix. That's not, like I said, this is just what professional engineers are doing that nobody's telling you. You can watch these guys on YouTube that are telling you, oh, this is what I do, this is what I do, sit the vocal in the mix, but blah, blah, blah. When you get, it's common sense, people. Now the high end, this is going to give you that shine, that shimmer, that professionalism. This is gonna make it sound like you recorded on a quality mic. This is what really gonna make that vocal bright, which is really gonna make it pop. So as you can see, I got a couple high end boosts. We're not boosting too much, but we got that high end nice and bright. 7,500 right here. We're boosting at 4,000 right here. I believe this came off a preset, so I had the preset on. I think I ducked it down a little bit and left it where it sounded good at. We also got the pull tech right here. Now we're boosting 7 at 1200, like whatever. Yeah, so we're boosting 7 at 12. This is kind of a big boost, I'd say, but we're making up for the de-essing that's going on here. Let's see how much de-essing we got going on here.
Bitches like I be killing my verses. All that ass back there, girl, I can't wait to see you twerk it. Nigga out the city.
You see how it sounds when that de-esser, when that pull tech comes off? So that's pretty much, now you can see the de-esser's way up here, the pull tech's way down here. But like I said, we got like 3 dB, 4 dB of reduction going on. So this 7, you could bring that back forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's really, we're only boosting 3. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, keep that end goal in mind. Know what's affecting what, and you'll be good. So like I said, we had to add that.
With my niggas down on bourbon. And you the baddest of the baddest that I ever seen. As like that, you should be up in the magazine.
And you're good. Like I said, just keep that end goal in mind. Know what you're doing. Make sure you know what's going on in your mix. And don't just, like I said, don't just add a plugin right here and be like, okay, I got this set where it needs to be set at, and then move on down your chain. Because, like I said, what's going on in this plugin could affect this plugin. What's going on in this plugin could affect this plugin. That's why I said you always have to keep in mind what you're doing when you're adding different plugins, when you're adding different effects and stuff like that. Like I said, man, just keep that end goal in mind, what you got going on, and you should be good. Now, the fifth thing that we're going to focus on today is exciters, the ear candy. This is what the vocal sounds like just after it's been mixed.
Mercy, shitting on these bitches like I be killing my verses. All that ass back there, girl, I can't wait to see you twerk it.
And it sounds pretty good, but good isn't good enough. We want perfection. We want the best. We want that little extra. We want this shit to sound like, oh my God, what the, like, yeah, that's what we want. I like my records to sound like they're already mastered. When they're coming out of mixing, I'm not one of those guys that'll send you the mix and the mix sounds dry. Then you got to get into mastering, especially this record, since this is a record I recorded. I want this shit to sound finished, straight off the tracks, like straight out of the mix down. I want it to sound good. Like, I want it to sound like it's presentable. So when I get to mastering, all I got to do is add a little bit of limiting, multi-band, whatever I got to do. I want this shit to hit hard. I want the vocals to be nice and upfront, crystal clear, all the polishing, all whatever it needs. I need it to come out. Like they said, you can't polish a turd, but if you're sending this gold-plated shit into that mastering, you're going to get gold-plated masters. And that's pretty much my secret to the stuff. A lot of people don't tell you that. Like I'm saying, you see these crazy boosts and stuff like that, these exciters. It might sound crazy to you, but that's my goal. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to mix this record flat. I want this shit to sound finished when it comes out of mixing. I hear a lot of guys mixing on whatever else, and the records sound good, but when you get to master and you got to boost these frequencies, you got to cut these frequencies. I'm working on that in a mix. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to go over here and worry about, oh, I got to dip 500 and dip this. We're focusing on that in the mix, boy. We're getting done. Like I say, that's after years of experience, that's one of them things that you know, like you already know, like, damn, fuck, I might as well just, you know, once you're making these records and mixing stuff like that, you're like, damn, when I get the mastering, I'm stuck. Like, I'll mix the record when I get the mastering, when I start compressing and stuff like that, the vocal starts to change. It's not sounding how I really wanted to sound anymore because I got to do too much to it. That's what I'm saying. When you're mixing, you want it to sound as polished as possible. So when you get the mastering, it's less work for the mastering engineer, whoever it is. So, the most hated plug in the game, CLA Vocals right here. We'll do the before and after again one more time so you can see what's going on with that.
Mercy, when I sent you from that mercy, shitting on these bitches like I be killing my verses. All that ass back there, girl, I can't wait to see you twerk it. Nigga out the city with my niggas down on bourbon. And you the baddest of the baddest that I ever seen. Ass like that.
So CLA Vocals is basically, I'm using it just as a vocal exciter. Some people can use this as their whole vocal chain, but all we really using it for is this little extra sizzle, this little extra compression, this little extra glue on these vocals. Of course, the input sensitivity is giving it some warmth, but we're actually reducing right here. Output, we usually use that as a volume control level, but like I said, I don't know what this plugin is doing. I think it has something to do with this. See how it's going from mono to stereo? It's just adding a lot of body to the vocals. I have no idea what it's doing. You heard how it sounds with and without the plugin, but I think CLA Vocals is probably one of the best plugins around. People sleep on it. People hate on it because of the noise it brings. Now, if you could make a version of CLA Vocals without the noise that it brings in there, I think it'd probably be the greatest plugin of all time, to be honest. But we haven't seen that yet, so we just taking it for what we got. All right, y'all. Once again, it's your boy Shawty, New Era Tracks. Just giving you guys a little bit what goes into how I EQ my vocals, how I mix my vocals and stuff like that. If you guys want to see a whole breakdown of what I'm doing to my vocals, the EQ, the compression, the distortion, stuff like that, I think we're also going to get into mixing and mastering. Just let me know down in the comments what you guys want to see, and we'll do some videos like that. I also got more beat making videos coming. I'm going to do some plugin creation videos and stuff like that. Stuff nobody's doing. You know what I'm saying? And I just kind of want to give my view of things coming from like a person that's actually mixing these vocals, mixing these records and stuff like that. Because a lot of people are making these videos talking about they're so-and-so, this producer or that producer, and they don't have any placement. So how are you telling people how we mix our vocals when we've never showed you? We've never been in a session with you and stuff like that. So that's pretty much going on. What's going on, guys? This your boy Shawty. Holla at me. One.